The David Pakman Show at davidpakman.com.
You know, considering the fact that it's the Republican Party that considers themselves the business people, the ones that are good for the economy, which we already know is a complete farce and just not true at all, and the ones that really know how to stimulate the growth of businesses and the economy, it's amazing how many really flat-out dumb business decisions we're hearing from Republicans. And I'm going to give you some examples. Everybody's familiar with Olive Garden, the horrible Italian-style restaurant that exists in the U.S.
So bad.
Well, it's owned by Darden Foods. Now, there was a segment yesterday on Bill O'Reilly's program on Fox News where John Stossel, who's incredibly annoying and always comes on to do these epic libertarian, he kind of plays this extreme libertarian character. Who knows if it's really him or not. He goes on and he says, listen, because of Obamacare, Darden Foods, which owns Olive Garden, as well as some other big chain restaurants, which I'm just forgetting. It doesn't even matter which they own. It's a huge company. They have a ton of employees. Darden is going to reduce the hours of as many workers as they can to less than 30 hours per week to make them part-time. And they're going to maintain under 50 employees at each location in order to avoid having to provide health insurance, blah, blah, blah. You know the story, okay? Now, what's funny, well, before we get into what's funny, here's another example of the same thing going on. David Siegel is the super rich guy who claims to be responsible for George W. Bush having been elected. He's the founder and CEO of this huge timeshare company, Westgate Resorts. We won't do a timeshare rant now. That's kind of a whole other, that's a whole other week of shows. But just to let it be known, he's the CEO of this timeshare company. He sent out this Opus-like email to his workers saying, you know, all this 1% bashing is terrible. President Obama being reelected would threaten your job, right? Basically implying, if Obama's reelected, I might have to start firing people. Now, Gawker saw the piece. They went and spoke to this guy, Siegel, who confirmed, yeah, I did send the email, and it's based on an email chain that went around before the 2008 election. It speaks the truth, and it gives employees something to think about when they go to the polls. Let's forget about the idea that employers are telling their employees how they should vote or making threats. Can we put that aside for a second, Louis?
Okay.
Let's talk about the business decision that's being made here. And again, we're getting back to this tired old idea that businesses make hiring decisions based on tax rate versus based on demand. And the idea that people make investment decisions based on the capital gains rate versus based on what is the total return. If there is a positive marginal return, then the right business decision or investment decision, if you're an investor, is to make the investment. It's to hire the additional employee. Therefore, at a certain point, and this is what's really funny, what you're not hearing from John Stossel when he says, well, listen, Obamacare is forcing Darden not to hire more than 49 people per location, for example. The reality is, at a certain point, if there is demand for the product that is being offered at Darden restaurants like Olive Garden, there is going to be a marginal benefit to going over the 50 employees. Now, if you believe, well, Obamacare is going to put an additional cost on the employer, on all of their employees once they go over number 49, fine, but eventually the free market's going to take care of it. Isn't it the free market people who should be saying, listen, if that cost doesn't outweigh the potential profit from hiring the 50th employee, being able to service more customers, so on and so forth, the employer's not going to make that hiring decision. At a certain point, your restaurant's going to be so packed because people have money, presumably, to go and buy your food. I use the term food loosely. You're going to say, you know what? It's worth it to hire the employee and to start paying health insurance because I'm going to be able to have so many more customers. It's basic business.
Yeah, and getting into employee happiness and things of that nature, we could do a whole show on that and how it affects your bottom line.
No question about it.
But I mean, maybe some of these cases are just employers like this David Siegel guy using their influence simply to try and get the man he wants elected so he can save tons of money personally.
So you're saying some of these may be real stupid decisions, but some of this might just be empty threats.
Yeah.
All right, fair enough. And the same applies to investments. When your capital gains tax rate goes up, remember, capital gains applies to, as the name says, your gains. Therefore, If you invest $1 million and you make your 7%, okay, and that gets you $70,000, and your tax rate is 15% or 35%, in either case, you're coming out ahead. There is a marginal positive benefit to making that investment. Nobody's going to avoid that simply because the